This happened to me back around 2009 or so, I want to say. Only some of this happened directly to me. I will tell you what I experienced from my perspective first, and then switch, and tell you what I was told. So, I was a NATO soldier at the time that this happened. We were stationed in Kosovo, and were involved in a peacekeeping mission. Kosovo had recently just gained independence the year prior, yet most of the surrounding former Soviet countries were refusing to recognize them as a sovereign nation. As a result of this, tensions were exceedingly high. They had split from Serbia, who were close allies with Russia, and so there was major tension. Now, Kosovo is not and has never been a member of NATO, so this might seem strange that we were there. They have always wanted to join though. Funnily enough though, 4 members of NATO themselves do not even recognize Kosovo as a country. Anyway, Serbia still considers it part of their territory, and without our presence along the borders to calm tensions, it would devolve into catastrophe. We actually have a dedicated peacekeeping force there, the KFOR. Our job was to basically maintain the ceasefire and provide security and stuff like that. This is a very rudimentary and basic explanation, but I don't have enough time for history lessons over greentext. I have told you basically all you need to understand the story. So, we were doing our thing mostly along the border and set up camp for a while. The place that we have set up a temporary base / resting area is close to a small village that is nearby. We have a decently sized squad with us, around 10 or so of us if you include the squad leader. Now, this small village was, quite strange. Maybe not strange, but they were definitely intense in their beliefs. They had all these superstitions and legends that I had never heard before in my life. They treat them as fact and would become highly offended if you even suggested something might not be true. Even suggesting an exaggeration or pointing out any inconsistencies, and they would scoff at you and call you simple-minded. They range from old wives' tales to plausible creepiness to downright crazy. There was one they liked to harp on a lot. They would always warn us whenever we went out anywhere that the mountains to the north were cursed. They were quite vague about the way in which they were said to be cursed. I'd heard them say that the land itself would kill you if you lingered for too long. They would say that it would do everything in its power to bring death and misfortune, whether that be through animal attacks, weather, natural disaster, or even possessing and using other humans. I dismissed it all as nonsense, really. Anyway, maybe the second night we had set up camp there. It was really late. I want to say around 11 p.m. or so. We had 2 out on guard duty, and were rotating shifts, as is protocol. I was sleeping soundly at night. Then all of a sudden, I get woken up by something. It starts out quite soft and quiet, but quickly grows. It's like some kind of rumbling coming from the earth, like a tremor or something, but quickly turns more vicious. I went from feeling the vibrations to some of my stuff being knocked off a small table and being shaken around. It woke up everyone in the damn place. We thought it was an earthquake. Then we heard something. It had to be the loudest crashing noise I had ever heard. Sounded more like an explosion, to tell you the truth. I had never geared up and ran out so quickly in my life. We thought we were under attack. We ran out and started asking the lookouts what they saw. They were a little panicked and almost lost for words. Said they saw a massive flash coming from over where the mountains were, but couldn't make out much else. Then they said they saw 2 or 3 green lights circling in the sky before disappearing. They said they were like orbs, but were hard to make out due to the distance away. Our squad leader calmed everyone the fuck down. Said it was just an earthquake, that the region is situated in a seismically active zone, and so tremors and the like are common. We did eventually calm down, but the 2 lookouts were still quite shocked. I did my rotation next, but did not spot anything the whole time. We woke up the next day, and the local villagers were in an uproar. They had obviously heard and seen what happened. They told us that the gods had been angered, that they were offended by our presence, and that they would seek revenge on the village for allowing us to stay nearby. We were just like, what the fuck? What did we do? And then they told us something else. A local kid had gone missing. They said he went to the north of the mountains, that he just got up like he was possessed and went there. His mother was distraught, said it was all our fault and that she would never get him back. At this time, my squad leader is absolutely flabbergasted. He is at a loss for what to do, so to reassure them and try to make amends, he offers to send a search and rescue party to see if they can find the kid. He thinks the kid is probably actually just hiding somewhere or goofing off, and that we would just take a quick look and be right back. They very reluctantly agree, but give us a very grave warning. They say that the second we set foot there, the land will be trying to kill us. Yeah, right. Squad leader assembled a 5-man patrol in order to go off and search for the kid. The other 5 of us need to remain and perform our regular duties. He asked for volunteers, but I think the previous night had freaked all of us out more than we realized. So, eventually he had to pick people. The 2 lookouts from last night were among them. He did not choose me though, so I remained behind. They set off with standard gear and weaponry, but again, they were expecting a walk there and straight back essentially. If they did find the kid, they were planning to radio and see if they could bring in a chopper to evac him from medical attention. And if they found him A-OK, then the little fucker could walk back. Around 5 hours went by. We got very routine radio updates for a while, but at one point they just stopped. Squad leader figured it was maybe just a dead zone, and no signal could get through. Still though, they had been a long-ass time for what was not an intensive task. Around 30 more minutes go by, and we get contact. One of the lookouts from last night, the one who said he saw the lights, I will call him L, appeared. He looked like a fucking mess. He was bloodied all around his face. Some of his uniform looked to be in tatters, and he had deep gouges down his left arm. He got to us, and when he did, he pretty much just collapsed. It took around 24 hours for him to recover enough to just be able to talk. When he did recover, the squad leader ordered us to leave them alone while they talked. Then the squad leader told us he would be medevaced by 0500, so around 12 hours time. Told us not to bother him, and that anyone caught disturbing him would be reprimanded. We asked what happened, and he just told us to get back to our duties, and that we were packing up and heading out the second he was evac'd. We were like, dude, what the fuck? What about the other 4 squad members? He told me to shut up and keep quiet. Said it was already being handled, but that he could not spare/risk the rest of us. What? So, L was technically off limits, and the squad leader was keeping a firm watch, but even he has to sleep eventually. When me and a buddy were rotated to watch, we instead broke protocol. We couldn't leave our camp completely unguarded, but I told him to cover for me while I went and talked to Al. If anyone asked where I went, I told him to tell them that I was sick and needed to take a gnarly dump. Not exactly something you can argue with. When I got to his tent, Al was wide awake and was shocked to see me. I asked him what happened, and although he was shaken, he agreed to tell me, but refused to say what the squad leader said to him. I said, okay, hit me with it. So, this next part is from Al's perspective and not mine. We reached the general area and we went over a ridge. We saw no sign of the kid, but we did figure out what made that crash. There was a down jet, completely fucked up, split in 2. Not a dinky little fighter either. This looked like a fucking Globemaster. That obviously did not make sense. The comms would have been going crazy with reports. This would be a wide-scale investigation and response. It would be front-page news in seconds. We got closer to inspect it, but there were no markings on the plane. Could find no sign that it actually belonged to us and was a NATO vehicle. We secured the perimeter, and one of us went in to secure the wreckage. Only around 20 seconds went by before we heard some crashing and a scream. We were all like, what the fuck? Is there a pilot still alive in there maybe? The dude stumbles out, and we see that he has a massive gash, basically diagonally along his chest. He is clutching it and just screaming, and he falls to his knees. He is like scratching at it vigorously, like he has an overwhelming itch that he cannot control. He is like writhing while doing it. 2 of the other soldiers walk up to this soldier and are like, dude, what the fuck happened? Are you okay? But he gets super aggressive and pushes one guy off to the ground. The other guy approaches, and the guy with the gash is screaming and throws punches at him. The first guy is trying to calm him down. And then it all happened so quickly. The guy with the cut pulls out his Beretta and just unloads 2 rounds into the first guy's chest. After 2 rounds, the second guy is able to react and return fire. He panicked, shot him straight into the head. He killed him. The first guy is in agony. Without medical attention, he will bleed out. We apply basic first aid and try to staunch the bleeding, but it will only slow it down so much. I tried to radio back for immediate backup and medical evac, but there is no signal. We must be in a dead zone. We are on our fucking own. I tell the other 2 to get in there and see if any of the communication equipment can be salvaged. It's a long shot, but if any of it survived, it would be much longer ranged and higher powered than our radio equipment, maybe enough to break the dead zone. We could use it to contact camp and get someone out here. At the very least, the plane should be equipped with some flares that we could use. They both rush in. 1, maybe 2 minutes go by at most. I hear them both screaming. Then I hear fucking gunshots. What the fuck? I leave the injured guy out there and rush in. When I run in, one of the 2 squad members is laying across some broken seats inside the wreckage. I check his pulse, but he is dead. I walk over to the cockpit door, which is slightly hanging open. These next events must have happened within about the span of a minute. It felt like forever, but I had to process so much in such a small amount of time and react. It is something I still get flashbacks and nightmares about. I hear sounds as I am approaching. It sounds like someone eating a meal, like taking bites out of a burger or a steak. As I peek my head around, I immediately see 2 things. I see the other squad member on the floor. He has a large slash across his neck with blood splattered everywhere. He is not moving or breathing. He also has a bullet hole in his abdomen. And resting on top of him is something eating away at his flesh. It is happily tearing chunks out of his stomach and just fucking eating it. I don't even know how to describe the thing. Think about the palest man you've ever seen, except it had these bulging and vibrant veins all on its body. Bright green veins, massive ones. Its head is like elongated. It goes backwards into like a sharpened point. It wasn't massive though. It was more like a child in terms of height. Maybe 4 feet or so, maybe slightly more. It had a mostly human body, but just stretched out. Like every limb, every detail was just really long. It pauses eating and looks up and catches a glimpse of me within the 60 seconds. I instantly start to back away, but it pounces on me with a speed I had never seen before. It slashes me along my arms several times, and I feel the cuts burning like salt or acid have been poured into the wounds. It then proceeded to grab my head with its insanely long fingers and tried to bash my head into the ground. It succeeded and did it twice, but I managed to unholster my pistol and put 2 shots into its torso. It let out a shriek, and I managed to kick it off of me and to get some distance away. I take up a defensive position next to the guy who is injured, and I tell him to take out his fucking weapon. All he is doing is crying and asking what is going on, and I tell him to fucking man up. I start firing the second I see that fucker crawling out, but none of the bullets stop it. Aside from a quick cry, it keeps coming. It wasn't my proudest moment, but I ran for my life. The injured guy begged me to come back. I could hear his crying and his frightened screams that only got worse as the thing got closer to him. I took one look back as I was running away. I looked back when I heard the next scream, a scream of pure agony. I saw the thing now tearing a chunk out of the injured guy. I felt shame, but more importantly, I wanted to live. The entire trip back was just a blur. I remember regaining control of my body when I saw all of you. And then I felt angry, really angry, like I wanted to kill all of you for not coming to help me. And then I passed out and hit the ground. I was obviously stunned hearing this story. I told him I believed him 100%, but really, I didn't know how to feel. It just sounded like more of the village's bullshit tales. He didn't believe me though, got really furious with me, told me if I did not believe him, then I should fuck off before he hits me. I left. I told my buddy on guard what I heard, but he did not believe it either. said he must have lost his mind a little, and his brain invented a story to deal with the trauma of whatever he saw. Sure enough, at 0500, he was flown out, and we headed off. We actually headed back to a larger NATO base in Germany, and were given about a week to rest, and then we were reassigned to another area in Kosovo. Squad leader told me that another NATO branch was already at the scene and investigating when L was shipped off. Said L had already been interviewed, and that they would get to the bottom of it. Told me that L needed psych evaluation due to what he reported. He asked me to do him a favor and keep quiet about what happened. Said we didn't need to spread any unnecessary panic to any others in KFOR. He told me, strictly off the record, that the squad was believed to have run into a group of rogue Serbian militants hell-bent on taking Kosovo back by force, that the squad had just been in the wrong place at the wrong time, and were not amply prepared. It's not something I ever questioned. I never did see Al back on duty in Kosovo again over the next few years. Must have failed his evaluation and been discharged. I still wonder exactly what went on that day. I don't think they ever found the kid either. I wonder if that was to do with the plane crash. Hey, hope you've enjoyed the story so far. If you want to hear more, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment because it lets YouTube know you like the content and helps more people to see these videos. My next big goal for the channel is 100,000 subscribers, and as a celebration, I will be doing a Q&A video once we hit that goal. Thank you, and back to the stories. I go hiking in these woods once or twice a year. The place is called Cannock Chase, Staffordshire, England. Has a reputation as a paranormal hotspot. This is not a story, but a series of spooky happenings. When going through the woods at night, I can hear voices. As soon as I stop, I hear nothing. I start walking, and I can hear the voices whispering again. I've had this happen to me a few times. I've seen a lot of evidence of strange rituals up there. I've seen flower petals laid out around a stone. I've seen bags full of bones hanging low in a tree. One night I was having trouble sleeping, so I went for a short walk near camp. I was headed down this short trail near camp for about 10 minutes, and I hear some shouting. I keep walking down, and I realize that it is some sort of chanting. Sounded like a Kiwi haka, but more rhythmic. I slowed my pace down but kept on walking. It was getting louder and louder at this point. I was getting real close and started to feel like I was being watched. At that point I just noped the fuck out of there, which really is not like me. Typically, I don't get scared, but that night I did. I've also had some strange animal encounters up there. I was walking down this heavily wooded trail at night again. I noticed an eye shine to the left. I continued on, and I noticed that the animal had begun to follow me. It was a large dog-sized animal, and it probably followed me for about a mile. It kept its distance, but it was unnerving. I've had a couple of more encounters with animals up there, but this shit is getting too long. Evening, mate. I live in Rugeley, and a few lads from school and I used to bike up to the Chase most weekends. We witnessed some creepy shit there too. Be me, I was around 12 years old at the time. It must have been around 2002 or so. We take the usual Saturday bike ride to the Chase. We do races, climbing trees, etc. Anyway, we are just hanging out. We see a girl a little into the woods. She is in a weird paisley dress and brown boots. They are muddy as fuck. It is quiet as fuck though, everywhere. We are all spooked to fuck, but we are trying to play it cool. Eventually, we call out to her. She comes a little closer. My face went, that is weird mud. She talks to us, asking what we are doing. Can she play, etc. This is a little girl, by the way. Now we are all shitting ourselves, but playing it cool for each other. She won't properly come out of the woods. Still quiet as fuck. She seems a little bit too young to be out here, especially on her own. Where are your parents? I don't know. What is your name? Diane. A little girl called Diane. Keck. What? We all make the eyes at each other to leave. We turn to say bye to her. My face went. That little girl is not there anymore. Now, this was either a brilliant prank, but this was before the YouTube prank shit even was a thought, And to add more, I spoke to my grandma about this. Turns out, when my mother was still a baby, there had been a few murders carried out in Cannock Chase, and one was a little girl called Diana. We went back a few times after to see if shit would happen, but when it went quiet like it did, we always noped out and left. Weird beings. My dad used to serve in the army, and he retired early. He loved to engage back in the day against guerrillas like EZLN and the Sinaloa Cartel. He retired early and was looking for something to do, so he applied as a security guard for a mining operation. As the executive saw his resume, the executive saw that he would be a perfect match to be head of security in a mine in Sinaloa. He was given special instructions as to not let the cartel steal any of the minerals that they were mining, and if needed, he could use lethal force, as he would be in charge of another 6 people 24/7. My dad loved the adventure, and as he had the know-how on how to survive in the Sierra or the jungle and manage different set of weapons. So, he arrived at the mine in Sinaloa, and there were all day TNT explosions going on in that mine, and people would just carry out all the gravel and residue out of the mine all day. It was just mostly going around that nobody would mess up with the machinery or try to look inside the mine, so it was pretty quiet. After a few days, he saw everything was quiet and calm, so he went to the local cantina. That is where he met the cartel boss of that area. The cartel boss was a nice guy, and after having a few beers, the cartel boss asked my dad what exactly were they digging out of the mine. As to what my dad told him, he didn't know. He told the cartel boss the mining corps might not have found the mineral what they were looking for, as they were just mining and pulling out gravel. The cartel boss just laughed and told my dad that the mining corps has been doing that for over a year. The cartel boss then told him that they are not really interested in any mineral from the mine, as their main business was harvesting certain plants and not minerals. So, from then, they became friends and would meet each other from time to time in the cantina. Until one day, one TNT explosion collapses half of the mountain, which left a big entrance that was really visible. People were sent home, and the guards were kept to monitor at night. During the night, the guards saw how some weird beings that looked like iguanas with tails but were walking on 2 feet. Their eyes were shiny at night. There were easily like 10 beings, and all of the guards pulled out their weapons. My dad told one of the guards to get the cartel boss with men to help him with those weird beings in case things would get nasty. Once the cartel boss arrived with his men, they were all armed, and all of them saw those iguana-looking creatures walking around. The cartel boss asked my dad if he had informed about this to the mining camp, as to which my dad replied no. So the cartel boss told my dad not to report this to the mining corps, as this is what they may have been actually looking for. The cartel boss said he did not want any military or police from the federal government on his zone, and to report that the cartel has taken over the mine. My dad told the executives that the cartel had arrived and took over the mine, and all the workers left scared. The executives told my dad not to worry, to come to the headquarters and sign his resignation, and he would be rightfully paid for his end of the contract. My dad says that the area is still well protected by the Sinaloa cartel, but not sure if it's because of the weird beings or if they still harvest those plants, as CJNG is trying to take over. Used to work as a catalog distributor. Fucking hated it. It was in the Australian summer. Anyway, of the 300 houses, there was this one that had an old couple in it. The house itself had a long driveway with a mailbox at the end of it. Old rustic kind of place on the outskirts. Also had some more recently built neighborhoods around there that I delivered to, but that one house was also in my area. There was also what appeared to be a really faded sign up near the house. I always thought it was an old farmstead, and the sign was telling people what they sold there. Anyway, old lady or old man always manages to intercept me when I am delivering to that house. Like, sometimes I would fuck up and need to do my rounds at like 8 p.m. One of them would be there, all the way from the house. Since I'd see the curtain pull back, and one of them would look out at me as I walked up there, I thought they signaled their partner to go and see me. They would walk out from an old garden shed that was near the gate, by the way. I would put the catalogs in their mailbox. They would take it out from the other side. Always being really sweet, kind old people, I guess. One day, some younger guy is mowing the lawn. Kinda weirded out. Same deal with the old lady. Give her the catalogs and be polite. Younger guy is staring at me. He says, "Hey, mate, got a minute?" Walks over. Takes catalogs out of mailbox. Apparently, his grandparents owned that place until they both died a year earlier, and now it belongs to him. Thought I was crazy, talking to nobody as I handed in catalogs. I didn't see them again, although I swear to fuck, the curtain still moved for the week or so I still had that job until I quit. I was working at a bar in Chicago while going to college. There was this old building with multiple floors. Rumor has it that it was once a major mafia hangout and speakeasy/whorehouse during Prohibition. Lots of hidden panels and doors and such in the building. Rumor has it lots of murders and torture took place in the basement. Basement rooms all have tile floors and walls with attachments for hoses. Rather strange for a bar, but you could wash down the walls and floor, and it would all go down these drains in the floor. Kegs were kept in this room, down in the basement. There was a freight elevator that we could use to go up and down. Sometimes, when I would be down there, I would smell cigar smoke. I remember I was doing inventory down there, and I smelled what was a beautiful perfume. It was such a nice smell. I remember saying to myself, "Wow, this smells nice." I then felt a hand gently touch my face. It was kind of scary, but at the same time, I could tell it was not meant to be something scary. I then started to smell cigar smoke again, and I heard what sounded like a slap and a scream, followed by a muffled Tetsuya, Italian for whore. I then felt this presence around me that was very dangerous. I felt like someone wanted to do some harm to me. I quickly ran out of there and heard laughter, followed by what sounded like figa, which is Italian for coward or pussy. I told my manager what happened. He looked at me and grinned and said, "They can't hurt you. Trust me, if they could, you would have already felt it. They are all bluster. Now, go down there and laugh at them, and they will leave you alone." I went down there and was nope, but then focused on my work. I started to feel this presence again. I said out loud, "I liked it better when the female was here. She liked me." I then felt this presence around me. I said, "Go to hell and leave me alone. I am busy." Still felt presence, but heard nothing else. Be about 6 years old around the time that this happened. I am sharing a bunk bed with my brother. I am sleeping on the bottom bunk. I wake up and see that the door is open when it really should be shut. I remember shutting it. I see a tall dark figure just standing there. From what I can make out, it is wearing a coat and a hat. I yell to my brother to try and wake him up, but he will not wake up no matter how loud I am yelling. I yell to my parents. I hear nothing coming back from them. I start crying. After what seemed like forever, my mom comes in and asks me what is wrong. Flash forward to when I'm about 8 years old, and my mom is sleeping in the bed with me because she had a fight with my dad. I again wake up at night and see this man. I try to wake up my mom. She is a light sleeper, but somehow, she is still not waking up. I again yell until I can't anymore, and I am only sobbing. The man is now gone, and mom wakes up. We move. Flash forward to me being 10 years old. I see the man again. I just lay there, pretending to be asleep until he is finally gone. Be me 15 years old now, in a different house. I see the man again. He always stands by my door or my closet. I see him more often. I just try to go back to sleep like it's nothing. Few years back, be 20 years old, moved out to a new place. I see the man. This time, near my partner, almost face to face. I try to wake my partner up. Nothing happens until the man leaves. For a week, he would appear in the closet, and it felt like he was only looking at my partner.